Hello, and welcome to another edition of Education is the Best Medicine, and thanks for watching. I want to welcome all our viewers to the World Wide Web at betv.org. Thank you. Thank BCM for their work in getting this done. And I want to, again, welcome you and all our visitors now viewing us across the world. I'd like to say a special thank you. Watch out for the SOS, and that's Sisters Saving Sisters. And it's a discussion around personal awareness for women and building young women's self-esteem. The finalists, Aisha Bila, spelled B-I-L-A, and Janae Peralt, are discussing and helping young women get orientated and just moving them forward. Telephone number is 415-292-7897 if you want to help. Again, the telephone number is 415-292-7897 if you want to help. I've got a distinguished group of black men today. You have to really work hard to get good guests on the show. These gentlemen have been able to have consented and have given their time through some very busy schedules to come to us to talk about some issues around not only black men, but culture issues in general, around education, around healthcare, and around black intellect, because the group does run a black think tank. To my far right, Mr. Cherry. Introduce yourself, gentlemen.
Yes, my name is Lee Cherry. I'm the president and executive CEO of the African Scientific Institute.
My name is Carlos Kamathi, and I am the public relations consultant for the African Scientific Institute.
And my name is Sylvester Hodges. I'm a former school board member in Oakland for 12 years and member of the task force on the education of African American students in Oakland.
Well, I brought these gentlemen here today because I think they can really talk about education and black intellect. We were really lucky. Mr. Cherry, I was told, and the Institute reviewed an article that I had written and decided to have me come and talk at a Black Nursing Day. That was what day, gentlemen?
November 29th.
November 29th. Excellent panel discussing black men in nursing. And my experience with Mr. Hodge as one as a wrestling coach first. Okay? And then as a runner second. And you get this thing with men that take care of themselves, running, working, thinking. And I like that kind of thing. And then as a member of the Oakland School Board, which I think his leadership was timely and really discussing the future problems of the Oakland School Board. And again, if you don't listen to men of the future, you're probably going to be making some major mistakes. So I want to thank him for his leadership of being ahead in terms of forecasting this deficit and the discussions around intellectual issues in terms of teachers and certification. All these things were primary on his list. I heard him talking about them years ago. So again, the discussion. Gentlemen, let's get into it. Education. We see a miseducation of individuals. Mm-hmm. We see children not only dropping out of the school system early and not completing high school, but a larger portion of those people being people of color. Mm-hmm. What are your suggestions for this discussion? I've got to go with you, Mr. Hodge, first.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. First, I think we have to realize this is not just a local situation where it's just happening in Oakland or Berkeley. It is an urban problem with minorities, African Americans, Latin Americans, all over the country, wherever you find minority pockets. And the issue is that everybody can identify the problems. It's the solutions that is needed. And the solution must come from, I believe, mostly those people, cultural groups who are impacted, rather than outside group who seem to be experimenting with solutions. And I personally did many reports, and I took on that task of doing some reports to determine the kind of pattern of issues was there. And I believe it comes down to the family in the end. It's the family values. Those are where I call the foundation, because see, economics, people claim it's economics, and I remember when my family was poor and said that we couldn't get education from being poor. And my family encouraged me to do good in school and to continue my education. And I'm a college graduate. So, and neither one of my parents had an education other than the 8th grade.
Carlos.
I think you want some solutions. I would think being a product of the integrated public school system, I went to Berkeley High School, and I didn't learn one thing about Black history. What I would suggest, and I think needs to be done, is private schools on the weekend, starting out, teaching Black history to Black youth. And that needs to be financed by Black people and Black instructors. And that way we can get a handle on teaching children about their roots, about Africa, about them being the first people that walked the earth. That would have an impact on them and their self-confidence. So I'll leave it there.
Mr. Chair.
The African Scientific Institute has always been about the business of motivating people, particularly our young people. We've had different tools that we've used to motivate people. One such tool is to let people know about the things that we have done in science and technology in the past and what we are doing today, and some of the good news about what our youth are doing today to represent our future. There's a lot of things that African Americans are doing today that contribute to the well-being of America. However, whenever you watch television and see someone talking about a given issue relating to science and technology, you always see people other than people of color. People don't know that African Americans ran JPL, through which all images in space came. People don't know that a lot of the patents for the original personal computer came from African Americans. People don't know that 2 of the individuals that discovered the A-bomb through the Manhattan Projects are African Americans. So what we try to do is motivate people about what exists today and who contributed to that. Another quick point, people use cortisone a lot, artificial cortisone. They don't know that Percy Julian was the one who patented the synthetic cortisone, without which you wouldn't be able to solve a lot of pain today.
So a discussion around education increasingly relates to if we are to learn, if we are to be motivated, has to be culturally competent, has to reflect the culture in those individuals and that cultural experiences, positive or negative. It needs to be a panoramic view of what happens, it's just not slices and dices of historical accounts.
Right.
In that light, what can we do to move to getting more of those kinds of curriculums in our schools? It seems that clearly, as people and as we learn more about ourselves, those students are more likely to attend school, more likely to attend those classes, more likely to get degrees when the education now reflects their cultural issues, but their social and political issues.
Well, one thing that you're doing with this show here, not only are you educating the youth, but you're educating and motivating the people who teach the youth. As teachers become more educated as to what's going on, then they will pass on, or at least be able to have the ability to pass on that motivation to their youth. And motivation and excitement carries throughout the classroom and to the youth. As coaches and people that have been in sports and education, the 2 of you have been, you understand the value of motivation and enthusiasm.
So Mr. Hodge, let's talk about the family, because I say that one of the problems in the discussion around our culture race is the lack of understanding the effects of slavery on the culture and on the family, on the dynamic of the family as it relates to the slave master, his wife, and his slave woman, and sometimes his slave man, which is a discussion around sexual abuse of men and women during that period. As we see this transcend itself throughout, and we see that effect out in terms of infant mortality, in terms of men not being able to maintain family father structure, and that's not just for men of color. That is what's happening all over. It seems like the family unit is disintegrating. What is your discussion around kind of assess that through the educational system?
It may be disintegrating for other nationalities, but I'm going to tell you, it was designed to destroy the African American community. There's a systemic system that was put in place ever since slavery to destroy African American family, to make sure that the male did not stay the head of the household or in the household. Our own system for welfare made sure that the male wasn't in the home, and no shoes in the closet, under the bed, any type of apparel that indicated that he was at home. So that's kind of...
So even today, as we looking, I've seen you get some data on high school suspensions. What's significant do you find about the suspensions? And just per se, now we're talking about the Oakland public school system, but probably reflective of school systems throughout, if the mentality still is pervasive throughout, which is the miseducation of individuals opposed to the education of individuals.
Well, see, I think, let me just say a little bit about what Mr. Cherry said. First of all, I think you have to have history not only given, as he's saying, on weekend and other times, because the Asians do that very well, but you also have to integrate it into the curriculum that's being offered to our students, because they have to realize that they are part of history, as he was noting, that is occurring, and not just that it was dominated by those major cultures like the Europeans, because we have to be shown that not only are we separate but integrated into history. So we need to be getting it more at the family level, so our family can be able to instill it in their children. So I agree with him that the weekends and the after school hours should be utilized too, to educate our own community, our own culture group, so they can feel proud of themselves, because I think it's a lack of self-esteem and a lack of hope and belief that they can achieve that is instilled because they're eliminated from the normal curriculum which talk about achievement.
Well, speaking of achievements and self-esteem, Carlos, can you tell me about the Nursing Day, Black Male Nursing Day program that you had me attend, and what was the concept behind that? And just because that was an excellent day, it was really mind-boggling to me to see so many men of color attempting to pursue the nursing career at the Washington Inn in downtown Oakland. Tell me about the concept that got that started, sir.
Well, basically, we looked at the problems that black men were having in general and the black community, and we're trying to come up with some solutions in terms of helping people go into science. And I talked to people, friends, and surveyed people and found out the opportunities in nursing. So I started talking to different nurses, talked to some black men that I knew in Monterey County, and learned as much about nursing as I could. So I came back to Lee. I said, well, why don't we try to get a program to try to get more black people into nursing? And the reason for that is because nursing offers money.
Okay.
And what a black man needs is not a lot of sympathy and a lot of pity. In order to raise your family, you need a career that's honest, that you have a track that you can go on and say, I can start point A, go to point B, and go to point C. So nursing offers that. So it's a tremendous challenge in that most people start thinking, well, if a person goes into nursing, they must be gay. Right. So we had to overcome that.
Okay.
So we went to the barbershops and went down to West Oakland, went to McClymonds, and a lot of people laughed. They said, oh, we're not going to be no nurse, man. So what we put on the flyer is design the program. We want to get people that are dissatisfied with their job, come on out. We want mothers to bring children. And I was shocked at the response when I got there at about 7. A guy came all the way from Sacramento. And I was shocked because I said, oh man, this is really going to be messed up. And then people started coming, black mothers brought their sons. So again, the concept we were talking about, getting black men into positions where they could make a living. And nursing does that. And so that's why we're going to pursue it on a 5-year campaign. And again, reach out to the black community. The initial program was to get black men because we knew that would be the hardest, and we were successful at that.
Well, I again like to put a special shout out to Greg Hodge. He runs a second Tuesday. It's again a think tank. And we just love those think tanks. And I want to say hello to him. He's been very busy, you know, as a president of the school board. He's getting ready to run again. So you know, I mean, let's see what happens. I think he can do well. He's done a good job and should do even better one. Women's Chamber of Commerce, Inc. Think Change and Think Literacy. I like this score. And this is a group of women. Their purpose is to contribute to the economic, social, and physical health of business women and families in their goals, and impact the economic and community development and higher goals. Kathy Adams is the lead in the this association, again, group of women doing very, very positive things. Increasingly, we find that men are dying of heart disease, heart attack, stroke in particular, cancer, prostate cancer in particular, diabetes, and it's really destroying the quality of our life. Some would say that men of color retire, but they don't live to enjoy their retirement.
Right.
One of the discussions around our lack of education and our unwillingness to educate yourselves is around the health issues. What's your recipe? What would you suggest for us to try to get men more involved in their health as men doing it?
Let me just say that talking to the men in nursing, it really motivated me to be more aware of my health, because they explained about why you should go get a cancer screening, and it was believable to me, because I'd heard it from white doctors, and I'd been to white doctors, and they just didn't even ask me my name. So there's no connection there. But when these black men start talking about, okay, you need to do this, and this is going to be good for 10 years, I said, oh, I better do that the first of the year. Because I'd been afraid before. See, I was afraid.
Mr. Cherry.
Again, it comes back to piggyback off what Carlos has started, being motivated to do something. People like yourself motivate people such as myself. As you remember, you were one of my first guys that I went to get a physical. And some of the things, we know it from before. And just talking in a comfortable manner about the value of being healthy. And now I see how it sort of carries. There's Sylvester Hodges. I remember he was in health. He was running around that lake, and I barely walk around it. And then to see how he's worked with Pearson, and Pearson has talked to me. So it's like a continuum of men talking to each other. And that's something that men have been lacking in the past. Women do it well. Men are just beginning to talk about the benefits of health.
What do you think?
That's exactly right, and I have to give him credit too, because George, if you may not know, was my medical assistant person who talked with me and gave me information in regards to continuing my health and how to maintain my health. And that's one of the reasons why I'm still healthy. When I had a little problem, I went to him, and he pulled out books and told me what I needed to do. He didn't just tell me off the top of his head. He referenced things so I knew what to do, and sort of gave me a prescription that I could follow, and I have been following that.
You have.
And my health is very good. I'm in extremely good condition. And I think that we do need to talk to each other more and talk to those in the field of health, because we don't talk to our doctors and our medical assistants and our nurses, and we need to have them come more back. They used to live next door and this like you do, George. A lot of them moved out of the neighborhoods when they started making money. So we don't get a chance to interact anymore.
Well, I want to thank both of these gentlemen. As a physician's assistant coming through the practice that I worked in, they were really special men as far as I was concerned, because you know, there's certain people that listen and certain people that listen and do. These are men that listen and do. So I always say that's a discussion. You know, and increasingly, you know, we're seeing discussion around even men aged 45 or greater with this discussion around cardiovascular disease and stroke and issues around cancer, that again points to a discussion around preventative health care, around exercise, around diet issues, around food, clothing, and shelter. Again, if you can't provide for your family, how are you going to provide for yourself? You know, so there's an issue, and just providing for yourself becomes an issue, you know, and those issues around self-esteem in terms of depression and mood disorder and the use of alcohol and smoking and drugs in which to mirror that pain. I have to I'm going to share this with you. You know, men as men of color, you know, we've had to start to endure and understand the pain within us.
That's right.
You know, and the hurt that has been within us as men going through this society. how have you men come to grip with it? One of the reasons I've come to grip with it is doing shows like these, you know, and talking to men like yourself. They keep me really clear and focused on what's going on. Again, I think it's men talking to men and having dialogues about their fears and concerns and issues and being supportive of one another. And I thank you all for that, being supportive of me. What do you think we can do to kind of break that tension, that ice?
Let me just say that I think, and I really truly believe, that the Million Man March made a difference in many African American communities throughout not only the United States, but other places, islands, where we have a large number of African Americans. They came too, and their lives began to change. As a result of us, we had to come together to talk about our egos that we had that was preventing us from talking about these issues and talking about them to each other. Since then, I know personally, that's when I say I talked to you and you helped me, and I never would have talked to anybody else about minor issues or issues of any kind involving me and my health. And so I think that was a turning point for many of us. What we need to do now is spread that seed that started there, and I think that we are doing it as African Americans.
So, as I always do, how can we get a hold of you, Mr. Cherry?
You can contact the African Scientific Institute by simply calling us at area code 510-653-7027. Again, that's area code 510-653-7027.
Say it one more time, 'cause I like the way you say it.
You don't say that.
Once again, contact the African Scientific Institute by calling us at area code 510-653-7027.
Carlos.
In terms of contacting them, same address.
Please give it out then.
Same address. Area code 41. What is it?
The mailing address, we use the post office box because we are in the United States plus 11 other countries. But our mailing address is P.O. Box 12161, Oakland, California 94604. Again, that's P.O. Box 12161, Oakland, California. That's 94604.
Mr. Hahn.
Okay, I can be contacted at area code 510-635-4510.
Say that again for me, please.
510-635-4510.
Okay, great. Well, gentlemen, we're winding down, and I just want to say again, thank you for coming. We see increasingly discussions around health, discussions around food, clothing, and shelter, as well as education. Economics, we say, plays a part, but the basics have to be in place, and the economics will come. We see a discussion around family structure, we discussion around men talking to one another about healthcare issues and the body politic. We see the effect of slavery on us and racism as it affects our health and affects our intellectual development. I point to, as a final note, the 5-part series in the Tribune, Separate but Equal Education. I would just like you to have a comment each year on that series and what you thought about, because again, it talks about the disenfranchisement of individuals in our educational system at the lower ranks, at the rank that Governor Schwarzenegger is going to continue to supply funds to, including the jail, which I think is
Okay. I think, first of all, that the warnings are there, and it's good to hear that the warnings are there. The reaction need to be taking place, and we're not reacting well enough. And I think that as a group, we need to start taking some action and making some decisions as a group. What we can do, knowing the symptoms, what can we do to deal with the cause?
Carlos?
I think we need to work around prisoners that are black men in Oakland and get transitional housing. Is it one thing that black nurses can do, black men nurses? Start businesses, because they're not going to have anywhere to go. When they get out of prison, they get $200 gate money sometime. And then they're expected to be gentlemen and to get a job and go on and take care of their family.
That's right.
Mr. Chair.
Looking at young men, I have to go back at an earlier state in their life. At birth, our boys, just like Curtis Mayfield singing the song, are at risk. You become the hunted. Therefore, we need to come up with a way to prevent them from being hunted. One way is through positive motivation to show that there's hope even in the beginning. So one thing that the African Scientific Institute is also doing is pushing a song called Hip Science. And it's for second and third graders to get them excited about science. So by the time they get to middle school and high school, they already be informed that there is a way out, regardless where you are today.
Well, thank you. Well, gentlemen, this ends it. It's been great. I really, really enjoyed all three of you. I think that you're beacons of light. And if the future is a discussion about seeing things unseen, then definitely you gentlemen see things that are unseen, and you're bringing it to light in our community for everyone, and you benefit. And please continue. And we're going to have you back, right? You guys are coming back. We're going to do a series with you, and I really want to again say thank you. I want to say hello to Larry Reed. Larry Reed is running for City Council. I want to say hello to him, and Mr. Tucker, they're going to do a fundraiser. Got to go to that one. This should be nice. I think it's going to be cool. And Gay Cobb is going to do real well as continuing as on the Alameda County School Board. She's up for re-election. I think she's going to do well. And we need to get our support, vote, get active, be proactive as opposed to reactive. Because in all of the things we do, education is the best medicine. I want to thank all you gentlemen for coming on and shedding light in a very, very, very dark world right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we just, and again.